Greetings, and welcome back, friends. Today we have Lightning Does the Work, Exult over Downfall, Resist Much, Obey Little, and From Dust to Dust. If you're new here, these trial videos are mainly focused towards educational purposes, so I've included all of my failures for each of my runs as well, though I've made them entertaining when possible. So this first trial is pretty straightforward. However, there are definitely a couple of things to mention here. Firstly, being that the Winfield uses compact ammo, so it's a slower velocity rate, meaning it's going to take just a little bit longer for your bullet to reach your target. So the further away your target is, the further you're going to have to lead your shot. Secondly, again, since it's compact ammo, targets that are further out can tank a headshot and still be alive. So for this trial, it's much more favorable to focus on closer targets, though most targets will be right within your maximum headshot range. The final tips I have for this trial are to crouch when taking your shots to ease your scope sway just a little, and just avoid targeting hives unless their heads are perfectly in view for a shot. Exult over Downfall. For this trial, you need to avoid taking any damage at all, and this includes falling damage, so mind your footing when hopping down from ledges and such. You're given an explosive crossbow, which you're only going to want to use on the armored. While you are given an Exult revolver, this revolver is what you're going to use to dispatch any grunts in your way. On top of that, you require 12 headshots on grunts as well. There is a saving grace in this trial, however. You're given multiple ammo crates around the compound. However, these will only refill the ammunition for your revolver, so make those crossbow shots count. And don't forget to fire it from a safe distance away, as the explosion will damage you if you're too close. And multiple armored can spawn at one time, so you are able to take out more than one armored at a time with your crossbow. And don't forget, you should be reloading as you're moving, as this will marginally increase your trial times. And finally, use yellow barrels to your advantage. Mainly for the armored, since if you're not able to take out multiple in one shot from your crossbow, you will need to use your nagants. I mention this mainly because it takes quite a few bullets from most guns to take out an armored. Being that you're timed, you need to be as efficient as possible. Resist much, obey little. This trial took me quite a few attempts. You can't make many mistakes for this one. There's going to be a bit to go over for this trial, so the final attempt on this trial will have a recap. Firstly, just like the previous trial, you cannot take any damage at all, so you will have to use the ladder a bit here. Second off, you're given 3 dynamite sticks, so choose your targets wisely. and there will be multiple occasions where you're able to use the environment to kill the armored. Your weapons for this trial are the Caldwell Rival, which I mainly use to knock over the armored, and the Silence Nagant's Revolver, which I've mainly used to set off traps in the environment to get armored kills. Crytek has also given us Dusters, or the more commonly known Brass Knuckles. There are a few armored that you're going to need to use these on, whether it's to kill them or just to get them off of your back. The traps that I spoke of consist of red barrels and hanging lanterns, though there are a couple of oil trails you can set on fire. The main speed bump that you're going to run into with this trial is armored slowing you down, mainly on the catwalk to the south side of Fort Camric.
Oh my god, dude.
The biggest focus you should be having for this trial is thinking ahead and planning what your next move is. After a few attempts, I had basically gotten this down to a science, though the reasons why I kept failing were tiny variants and really just, if I'm honest, poor execution. For example, say I'd missed a shot on one of the environmental traps, or for whatever reason an armor decided to break away from its normal pattern. There was an instance or two where an armored had hit a hanging lantern, causing myself to take fire damage, failing the trial. Other times, I had simply spent too much time between two checkpoints. And I don't expect all of you to complete this trial on your first attempts. Though, hopefully with this, I guess we'll call it a tipter instead of a walkthrough, hopefully you'll come damn close. I say this because a lot of this trial is memorizing where everything is, which is another thing we'll go over in the final attempt on the recap.
But me throwing this dynamite here had inadvertently given me a huge time save. By throwing dynamite there, it would cause the two red barrels to explode, taking out an armored in the process. And you're able to throw the dynamite from practically the beginning of the trial as well. Unfortunately, I wasted too much time in this run though. I came super close with only 2 more checkpoints needed.
While we're doing the elevator, I can do that. Honestly, I don't even have to kill this guy up here.
Well, that's all I have to say until the recap, since I'm going to be matching up my voiceovers with what you're seeing the best I can. So if you just want to see the final attempt with me talking about it, skip to 12:27 using your slider, or just click the timestamps in the description.
Never grabbed it. Damn it. Yep, got him. Nice, nice. did I miss that? Oh, come on. It's like a delay. It's like one goes up and then it's almost like you shoot it to the next one. Excuse me?
Alright, recap time. So for starters, throw a dynamite here, and this will be your first armored kill. As long as you get the red barrels in the blast radius, you'll be fine. Then follow by climbing up the ladders as normal. You'll want to shoot this lantern if the armored is in a decent position, otherwise you can ignore this one. While you're coming down the elevator, shoot the red barrel up on the upper wall. Then you're going to want to follow up by turning to the left and shooting this red barrel. It's best to do it now rather than later, as you may have seen in my previous attempt. And be sure you're reloading as you go, especially since you'll be able to kill this next armored via lantern or red barrel, and this one's your choice really. When reaching the top of the stairs, set off the red barrel to the left as you pass it, along with the next red barrel directly in front of you. So long as you keep moving, that fuse will give you just enough time to escape the blast radius. And then following into the southern catwalk, you'll be met with another armored, and sometimes two like in my case. I find it's best just to use your dusters on them. The armored will take only 4 charge attacks from your dusters before dying. And up until the ladder we use to go back down into the forts, we get a well-earned break from the madness. So in here, here's one of the armored that I had stated before I had broken away from its normal pattern. For me, this was my final required armored kill. So after this one, all I had to do was reach every checkpoint until the finish.
Okay, you can just run now.
You're able to punch an armor to stagger it, and thus allowing you to slip by without even having to kill it. And also, don't forget friends, you cannot take any type of damage, so be careful where you hop down from. Use your environment, and use everything else in your inventory for your disposal. But are you all ready for the next trial? The final trial in this video? I sure am. From dust to dust. This trial is basically a repeat of Fool's Honor in my first trials video. The idea of this trial is to kill all of the surrounding grunts, and if you're able to, the hives as well, before taking a shot at the immolator's head. I'm not exactly sure here, but I speculate the reason why I needed 3 headshots on an immolator a couple of times is because of the damage drop-off medium ammo has. The further the bullet hits its target away from the shooter. The Vetterli Carabiner. It's a bolt-action rifle, and it's actually grown to be one of my favorites. Though I prefer the iron-sighted silencer variant of it, along with the high-velocity ammo. So, as I explained in the first Trials video, more specifically Fool's Honor, when you shoot an immolator in the head, after the immolator's explosion animation finishes, his head will pop up, give or take, directly in the same area you took that first shot. Immolators are very sporadic NPCs. With this information, your second shot should be extremely critical to land on that second headshot. Immolators in this trial will give you some collateral damage to take into account as well. If they explode next to a yellow barrel, that oil from that barrel is going to burn for a good while. This means you'll be threatened to fail the trial, not just by the time limit anymore. Hence why I said you must clear out all the grunts and hives before taking a crack at the immolator's head. I'll slow this down for you all. Once you take that first headshot on the immolator, he'll do an explosion animation. After it's finished, his head pops up right around the same area. I hit both headshots there, though I believe, as I said before, the range on the damage drop-off was the culprit. And finally, it's best to avoid hives unless you have a clear shot of their head. Their hitboxes make me question if I miss their head quite frequently. Well, there's 4 more trials out of the way. Lightning does the work, Exult over DownFall, Resist much, obey little, and From dust to dust. Tomorrow, we're gonna focus on We do not need light, but fire. Be jubilant, my feet, and reap the whirlwind. As always, I truly hope that these videos are helping you all, or even just getting you all to laugh at my dumb mistakes. I also hope to have earned your subscriptions today. But do me all a favor, friends. Take care of yourselves. The world is a very treacherous place after all.